About to go over to Mom and Dad's to surprise them by bringing Ben over. Here we go. Okay, go ahead. Ready? You ready?
Oh my God! What?
Hello.
Oh my God!
I knew it.
Oh
I had a feeling.
Hello.
Oh my God!
Hello.
I had the feeling he was going to show up.
Oh my God!
So, hey.
Hey, good to see you.
I didn't know.
Hey, Ari.
Hey there.
Guess who showed up?
Monis.
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
Good to see
I'm
you.
ready to fly up for the day.
Oh my God!
Had a feeling.
Hello.
Oh my goodness!
Hello.
Pete, that's what we, I know your mother said it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The show was told us
Everyone-
what
did you
happened.
know?
Shrunk?
Okay.
We're missing.
The old lady's presence, which is
Hey.
weird.
Yo.
Discounted it.
Oh my God!
Dog.
It must have been when they were talking about it. We were at the Mets, huh?
Yeah, it's
So,
borrowed.
wow.
It's borrowed. Are they?
That's okay.
Winning every 10 games.
And when you
If they're lucky.
Yes, this.
Ah,
So we both started.
How did it happen? About 2 months ago, right?
yeah, that would be about
2
right.
months ago, I was on the phone with him at work, and I said, you know, we're talking about this weekend. And I said, you know what? I said, let me check the airfares right now while I have you on the phone. So I did, and you know, they were very reasonable.
You just
They were
flew
like
in
$200
today
or
or
whatever.
yesterday?
Today.
Wow.
Yeah, I left at 12 o'clock.
Suzanne didn't say anything, I spoke to
Yeah,
her
she was
this
good.
morning.
She was good. Yeah, April called my office today, so she got my secretary, and my secretary goes, he's not here. And she said, well, where is he? She's out of town. She says, where? So she told her. So I think she's in Monticello. I said, that's great, thanks. So I said, so I called my secretary. I said, you're fired on Monday, so don't worry about that.
Ta-da.
That's weird. Wow. So we have, it's like winter.
I know.
Yeah, we thought it was going to snow.
Where's the rest of you?
Yeah, they went to,
You
they're a
left.
little out of sorts.
Wow. It's almost
Hello everyone, here we are at the celebration for my parents. And this is what it looks before everybody, or as everyone is arriving. Before pictures. There'll be approximately 80 people here, according to what I'm told. Very exciting. And we'll be back when the festivities, I suppose, begin. But once again, here's some more before action scenes. You see more people are arriving, getting comfortable with each other.
Yeah, the three of us.
I missed her speech.
The first table, of course, will be the Brafman family, children, cousins, and friends. Okay? Just everybody sit back and enjoy.
She's got a way with words.
Yes.
Boys are.
Much gooder. Now, here we are online to get food.
Here we are again. I was surprised. Eating?
How could that happen? I did. I got something. What are you kidding me? I can't go without eating.
We dropped Jordan off at the house and set up the PlayStation. Josh goes, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, we can't play that here." Mitch goes, "Okay." So he hooks it up.
You can't
So
play it.
Laurel says, "You want me to take you downstairs?" He goes, "No, we're gonna play PlayStation." He goes, and then he sees Jordan's pajamas and he says, "You're staying over?" And Harry's sitting there like, he is so bright. So he goes, "That's great. Now we can play all night." And Jordan's like, "Oh my God." You know, like Joey Nichols.
Joey 5 cents.
Next two tables, go get your food. They're serving from both sides. Make a line on both sides of the table.
Wasn't that exciting? Here we are after the eating.
Is we know 3 stars might appear in the sky tonight, and therefore it's time for Havdalah. That's the one halakhic rule. The other halakhic rule is the chairman of the event says, these are the time schedule, Havdalah is now. So that's the way it works. So I want to, first of all, wish everybody a good Shabbos in these waning moments, and good Shabbos. So I hope everybody please joins in with this Havdalah service. Now, to help with the Havdalah service, would all of Monis and Sylvia's grandchildren come up to the bima, please? The small number that's present tonight, thank you. The representative grandchildren.
Come on. 13 of them.
The leaders of their family tribes.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
they're the
excellent.
couples.
That works so nicely. So very nice. Now,
Only
who's the
13
youngest? You're you sure? You compare birthdays? You're the youngest. Okay. Now don't burn. Promise? Okay. Wine. Don't drink it. You don't drink this wine. Okay, which one do you want? Those are all spice boxes. Oh, that's very nice.
Door number 2.
She picked the best one. She picked the best. I had 3 Havdalah boxes up here, spice boxes. This I mean. And she picked the best one. That one's about 100 years old. It's from Jerusalem. It's made of wood. Olive wood.
You can applaud now.
I was right. It's made of
Very rare. So you picked the best one for sure. Good eye.
Bricks.
Who's your parents? Where are they? Parents? Not here. Grandparents. You trained her well. You trained her well. So the first thing you do is light the candle. Remember, don't burn it.
Or you can.
Well, try.
How many cards?
Okay, so when I tell you, you'll raise your respective items. Okay, yours is going to be first, yours is second, and yours is going to be raised third. Don't burn. Mahabru haolam, borei peri hagafen, borei peri hagafen. I lie, 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim I lie, 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 lie. For the words are too hard, come on, everybody.
I don't get it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei ha'esh borei ha'esh borei ha'esh. We're getting it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Take this Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera v'Yameinu, Yavo Aleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. A good week, everyone. Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and the joy increase. Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and the joy increase. A good week, one and all. And when you finish passing those around, please make sure they get back up to the bima somehow. I'll take this one to the back.
Thank you, Rabbi. Obviously. Well, welcome, everybody. We'll expect all right, pay attention, pay attention. All right, here we go. Anyway, we have a fun night tonight. Quite a few speakers and a few presentations at the end. Anyway, it's a long overdue thanks tonight for Sylvia and Morris Brafman.
Monis.
Norris. That's Hebrew name. What's his English name? Okay.
Ira.
Anyway, the past temple, as Sylvia and Monis have been temple board members for many years, they know how tough it is to raise funds. And at Rotary, we've had the same trouble along the ways. We just couldn't keep money going, so we started Happy Dollars. If anybody has a mitzvah nachas, they give $1. we were running a deficit, then Marty Braunstein started giving dollars for his grandchildren. We finally broke even. We decided to rush Monis, and now we have a surplus. Monis was president during the Shankman era. Monis would really enjoy locking himself in the rabbi study for a daily discussion and listening to the Grateful Dead. Okay, now I'm making it short. Now for Monis' better half. They say opposites attract. So let's talk about good-natured, soft-spoken, mild-tempered Sylvia. Okay, she has served her temple in almost every capacity over the years. I asked for material to roast Sylvia, but I was told a roast has too much cholesterol and is calcium deficient. All right, anyway, speaking of food tonight, I want to thank the committee that was here tonight that helped out. Ladies, if you're around, stand up. Ann Stevens, her husband helped, Eileen Cabrera, Phil Stuberman, Iris Haas, and Strauss's Gadogin, whose food this is. And I want to thank you all again and for helping us with munition and nutrition Brafman. Thank you. Our first speaker tonight will be friend Ed Dunleavy. Ed, I hope you're ready. Didn't make it here yet? All right, let's get right to number 2. All right, who gave me this list? Okay. The wrong list?
No.
Ann Proyak, please. Ann, you have a few things to say?
Yes, sir.
At least I won't be repeating what someone said before me.
What?
Sylvia, you're a cutie pie. An illustration of Sylvia's wonderful nature and something we should think about here at Temple. A few years ago, they asked Sylvia to run for office. She didn't win, which happens at Temple, right, Sid? Anyway, she said, I had a wonderful time meeting all those people. That was her reaction. The next time I met Sylvia was at a dine-around, a cocktail party first, and there was Sylvia having a ball. We had the good fortune to be invited to her house for dinner. We go to her house, she sits, she's comfortable. I don't understand this woman. I can't even make tuna salad. And she sits there, we're comfortable in the living room, and next we're served the most divine meal that you can imagine. She was in control and easy. That's a good role model. And I think the soup that we ate there the first time was in her cookbook, Brafman soup. It's here. It's wonderful. There's a lot of good things in it. But before I talk about her cookbook, I want to bring out something that's important. One of the differences in the reform movement is that we're just as concerned with what comes out of our mouth as we are with what comes into it. We have to be careful the way we address one another. And Sylvia's a good role model for that. And the good news is, I'm sure you all have a copy of this book. Sylvia's working on a new one. Keep it in mind. It makes a wonderful gift. And her disposition and her goodness and heart are through the book. And thank you for letting me talk.
$49.95. Make a check.
The proceeding was a commercial announcement.
Thank you. Or give her an extra 10.
Bob.
Speed limit.
Joey. I'm going hell.
Drinking again.
If you ask the audience, did you hear it, they think you know what you're talking about. Did you hear me?
Yes.
That's the problem, Joe. You haven't heard the problem yet. Have you read this biographical sketch?
Yes.
Well, you probably some of the things in there you just read and didn't realize how important it is. It says here, for example, he was the youngest member of the board of directors of Intercounty Farmers Co-op, which is the organization that I ran and managed for many, many years. And I remember when he came on board, the older guy sniggered and said, "Who is this young whippersnapper?" It turned out to be an excellent, excellent friend with the board. And then there's one line that says, in 1970, Monis and Sylvia moved to Israel and went to a kibbutz, Ein Harod Hahud, whatever. I want to caution you that any time I use the name Monis, I want you to mentally think of Sylvia in the same sense because of the fact that she's so much an integral part, and so is he, of this wonderful couple. I would like to share with you a few vignettes of their Israeli experience, which is not in here, which is okay, but I met with Monis and Sylvia, and what I tell you is factual, because they're factual. In 1970, they moved to Israel. They didn't take the Superjet airliner. They went by boat, towing 6 kids with them. Yes? Where are they?
Yes.
And they arrived at the kibbutz. Kibbutz, you've all been, who's been in Israel has seen a kibbutz, yes? Those who don't know what a kibbutz is, it's really a farm run by committee. Does everybody know what a committee is? Oh, what is a camel? A camel is a horse that was put together by a committee. And so, Monis was put in charge of egg production because of his extensive experience in the States with chickens, laying hens, especially egg production. And what Monis saw when he came to the kibbutz horrified him. This is the way to run a farm? This is not the way to run a farm. I'll show you how to run a farm. And then he proceeded to institute procedures that he knew was the best way to do it. He ran into a bureaucratic jungle. The bureaucratic jungle was caused by a local DVM, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, called what? Magulis?
Bigolis.
Bigolis. The problem is this. Monis knows his trade. He knows his poker. He knows what he's doing. When birds are, thank you, when birds are sick, he posts them. That means you dissect them, look inside to see what's wrong. And Monis knows what's wrong, and he knows what to do about it. Because before he left the States, he purchased from the intercounty co-op large quantities, medications, soluble antibiotics, treatments for intestinal problems. And so he knew what to do. But he was told, whoa, 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 whoa. They called him at that time Brafman min halul, which means the chicken Brafman. Well, why do I have to wait? You have to wait for the local vet to be here to authorize any of this. You don't do anything without his blessing. Well, in Israel, at the time, as well as here in the States, the local vet is perceived as sitting at the right hand of God. You just don't do them. We are now in a proper position to discuss the problem.
On your right hand, Joe.
And so, Monis proceeded to meet with the vet and told him what the problem was. Oh, by the way, before the vet got there, the people at the kibbutz said to Monis, he's a brash young man, they said, Monis, please promise us you will not hurt the guy. He's a really nice guy. Don't hurt him. Monis demonstrated his deep knowledge of the industry that he's in. With the vet, he posted birds, posted means dissecting them. And he said, Doc, this bird has necrotic enteritis, CRD, intestinal coccidiosis, because he knows, cephalococcidiosis. And for each there is a treatment. And he explained to the vet that when birds are sick, they go off feed, they don't eat feed, but they'll drink water. Monis had the foresight to bring with him water proportioners from the States. That's a device which injects just the right amount of liquid antibiotic into the system. It works, because the birds drank and recovered and did just fine. After the vet had seen, and the demonstration, not demonstration, but the knowledge that Monis had exhibited, he says, call together all the kibbutzim, and the kibbutzim from the next town, and the next, and the next. I have something to tell them. They all gathered one day, and he said, I have a proclamation to make. From this day forward, until the end of time, Brafman Mikhalul is in charge of the poultry industry in Israel. He has the knowledge, the capability, and the authority to do what has to be done. You don't have to call me anymore. I think I'm right, Monis, right? Oh, absolutely. No, seriously, Monis, he instituted some very tremendous changes in the industry, as a result of which the production per hen increased dramatically. So Monis, he's a very exacting person, and they used to have a procedure, I think every day or every second day, a truck would drive up the driveway to pick up the eggs from the kibbutz, take them to a cooperative for distribution to the local stores or whatever. This one day, the young fellow's driving the truck up there, Monis is in the coop, birds are housed in cages. Birds are very sensitive to noise. If somebody walks fast, they are panicking. Well, this young man, who happened to be an Arab, liked to sit on his air horn as he drove up the driveway. And the birds panicked. Brafman was in the coop at the time. He rushed out. He went ballistic. He stopped the truck, opened the door, grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, pulled him out, shook him until his teeth rattled. Young man, don't you ever, ever, ever do that again. You don't.
Word I said.
Huh?
He didn't understand.
He didn't understand, but Monis understood what he said. Monis admonished him that, you know what, I think maybe you should never come back here again. What Monis didn't know was that this young Arab had friends in high places. It may be coincidence, who knows? But less than a year later, the Yom Kippur War exploded in Israel. I don't know. I'm not drawing any conclusions. In any event, even though they made to Israel, Sylvia and Monis stayed there for 2 years. For personal reasons, they came back. Monis was offered the position of second in command in the Israeli Ministry of Agriculture. He didn't take it. Monis was offered a position in Tehran, Iran. When the Shah of Iran was their popular character, he was offered a position in Iran to manage poultry, teach them poultry husbandry. He turned that down because he thought he wanted to build a new career here in the States. And by the way, the Israeli production, the Israeli poultry industry made money. And he turned to Sylvia and said, why couldn't they have done this on my farm in Monga Valley? The difference was that vet. When he put him in this place, he made money. Here he can't do that. So in any event, after he came back, strange things do happen. After they were back some years, Monis and Sylvia went to a function at one of the local restaurants. If I mention the name, I will have to pay a promotional fee. And they were at this function, and at this place there was an Israeli young woman who had lived through the 1973 war. And she was telling them about the horrors of the war, the difficulties. the suffering, and the fact that there were times when food was in short supply. Everything except eggs. We had lots of eggs, she said. You're right. And then she was told that the reason we have lots of eggs is because in the 1970s, early 70s, there was a young, brash American who taught the state of Israel how to produce eggs. And she was just marveling at it. And I think Kenny Drew is somewhere around here. Am I right? There he is. And if I misquote you, Ted, I'm taking poetic license. And Ted Drew said to this younger lady, would you like to meet this brash young American man? He said, Monis. He said, Monis, come over here. I want you to meet somebody. And he introduced him, and this, my friends, is factual. And before I leave the podium, because I'm supposed to be reluctant to leave this without telling you this, I think I can best epitomize the life, the philosophy, the living, and the spirit of Sylvia and Monis Brafman by reading you something that was mailed to me many years ago from a friend, I don't remember where. I think it has enough meaning that it fits into this particular occasion. It's called Take Time. Take time to work is the price of success. Take time to think. It is the source of power. Take time to play. It is the secret of perpetual youth. Take time to read. It is the fountain of wisdom. Take time to worship. It is the highway to reverence. Take time to be friendly. It is the road to happiness. Take time to laugh. It is the music of the soul. Take time to dream. It is hitching your wagon to a star. Take time to go. Congratulations, Sylvia.
I never asked Monis to be the guys I was working for in 1973 in Alaska. I was working in Rice Hall for Dr. Cole, Dr. Peckham, and Dr. Combs. I'm not lying. Do you know Dr. Peckham, Dr. Combs at Cornell? Both professors?
Of course, everybody knows those.
I'm not lying, right?
No. This time you're not lying.
The other time. Again. Every other time.
Thank you, Joe Cohen, past Temple president as well.
Joey.
Our next speaker will be cousin Irving Allen, please.
Irving.
Good evening. We're here to honor Monis. Why?
There he is.
The funny thing is, when I was first thinking about what I was going to say, I thought that comment might get a few chuckles. Then I started to ask myself, why would that be funny? And I realized that the honor that is being bestowed upon both Monis and Sylvia has truly been earned. So I'll ask again the question, why? There's nobody that knows Monis any longer than I do. Not even his mother. Because I was around the day he was born. And I've come to know Monis quite well. And there is one reason, more than any other, and I think you will all appreciate this. And the reason Monis and Sylvia are considered members in such great standing here is the same reason that I have known and loved them for many years. we come from a pretty large family, as a matter of fact. Monis' mother and my mother were 2 of 9 sisters. Now, Monis and Sylvia are making it close. In the family, nobody has seen or been able to generate more progeny than they have. But it hasn't amounted to 9. Nevertheless, they're still on the road for another record, and that is that these 9 sisters have brought forth 27 cousins. And Monis now has 17 such cousins in his family. And I emphasize the word family, because really that's what we all are here, a family. And this idea of helping and being part of, loving a family has been a great, great sense of satisfaction, personally to me, and I know for all of you. The smartest thing, of course, he didn't grow up too bright, but he did finally show his brilliance and wisdom by marrying Sylvia. And it is a sense of family that we all here, I know, appreciate and really respect and love. And I don't think I can see anything any finer to it. Thank you.
A couple of the grandchildren want to speak. Sarah, like to come up first. Sarah Wiley.
From the moment I learned of my grandparents' honor, I immediately knew that I wanted to say a little something here tonight. All year I've been trying to think of the right thing that will get the 3 reasons I am standing here across. The first reason I am standing here is to congratulate my grandparents. They, more than anyone else I know, fully deserve this honor. They have both played active, supportive roles in my family, Monticello, and this synagogue. The second reason I am speaking is because of my gratitude towards my grandparents. Both my grandmother and my grandfather have always been here for me. They are 2 of the best people I have ever met. Whether it is help with schoolwork, teenage traumas, or decision making, my grandparents are both always ready and willing to help. The third and final reason for wanting to talk tonight is pure admiration of my grandparents. If I am able to achieve everything they've achieved and accomplish everything they have sought out to do so, then I will be truly granted. I am greatly blessed to have 2 amazing grandparents like Monis and Sylvia Brafman.
I'd like to start with a story. This one is about a man named Danny Biasone. Mr. Biasone was an owner of the Syracuse Nationals, which was an NBA basketball team in the 1950s and early 60s. In the early 1950s, the NBA was dying because the game was too slow and was losing fans. Mr. Biasone devised a novel and the brilliant idea of a 24-second shot, which required the team to shoot the ball in 24 seconds. It sped up the game and saved the league. Eventually, the Syracuse Nationals were sold and the team moved out to Philadelphia. they became the Philadelphia 76ers, and the NBA grew to be a multi-billion international business. Each year, a newspaper columnist would lament that Mr. Biason was not elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Mr. Biason eventually became the owner of a bowling alley, and he died in the early 1990s. The year after his death, he was named to the Hall of Fame. Mr. Biason never lived to receive the acclaim that he deserved. The point of this story is, while it's nice to be honored, it's better to be honored while you're alive. Or to put it another way, you get to hear your eulogies. I first met Monis and Sylvia in 1979 when I started dating Andrea, their oldest daughter and my first wife, who died of leukemia in 1996. In 1979, the Brafmans were younger than I am now, and all of my children today are older than Ben was at that time. Looking back, it was similar to starting out on the ground floor of Microsoft. Since 1979, Sylvia and all 6 of the Brafman children received undergraduate and graduate degrees. All 6 of the children married, and each has at least 2 children. Monis and Sylvia now have 16 grandchildren with 1 on the way. I need name tags to identify everyone at family reunions, and a computer program and 2 of my children to keep track of the birthdays and anniversaries, which are occurring constantly. But that doesn't really matter since he always forgets anyway. Their oldest daughter, Andrea, started a Jewish education forum, was the vice president of her temple, and was named Young Leader of the Year for the entire Jewish community in Syracuse before she was 30. During the same period, Monis and Sylvia became community leaders both in the temple and in the village. Through all their triumphs and tragedy, they have held a family and community above all. During Andrea's illness, Sylvia moved to Syracuse so that Andrea and I could travel to Buffalo for several bone marrow procedures. Andrea's youngest brother, Ben, was her donor and sacrificed personally and professionally to stay in Buffalo when needed. At some point in their lives, each of Andrea's brothers lived with us. It is impossible for me to think of Monis and Sylvia without thinking about the Brafman family. They richly deserve this recognition, and my entire family congratulates you. And now I'd like to say something for myself. As your oldest grandchild, I've watched your sacrifices for family and for my mother. I remember that she was a leader, and then my dad used to say she was the master sergeant. She kept both Grandpa Monis and the troops in line. Grandma and Grandpa asked me to sing a song for them tonight, and I chose this particular piece because I associate it with memories of both of you and also with the memory of my mother. The piece I chose is called Think of Me from Phantom of the Opera. Is it okay?
Think of me fondly when you said goodbye. Remember me once in a while. Promise me you'll try. Think of me, please say you'll think of me. Whatever else you choose to
Rebecca, what are you singing this summer and where? Could you help us out?
I'm performing at the Brant Stand every Saturday night for the rest of the summer. After July.
Rebecca, after I got married, they made me go up Burnett Avenue to the East School at Bowling Alley, and I had to go kiss Danny Bizone's ring also. That's how Adolph Shays named this kid Danny Shays, after Danny Bizone. So how do you like that? Event of the 24-second club. All right, now the time is it. All the kids want to talk. All right. The oldest first, please, sir.
Good evening. I wasn't sure I was really going to be here tonight. There's some personal problems that are going on at home, but it's a shame I was able to come here tonight to take part in this event where you all are honoring my parents. The night is not about personal, it's about their accomplishments and their successes. But more advanced, how do you measure accomplishments? When you measure accomplishments and success by smiles and laughter, rather than dollars and cents, that is a true measure of an individual's success. When they've warmed hearts, touched more individuals than can be counted. When you know you have brought laughter or smile into one person's life, that's a true measure of success. My wife really wanted to be here tonight. Unfortunately, she could not. But she has a poem that's plastered on the wall, a couple of different walls of the house. And it basically says what is the true meaning of success. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people, to gather the affections of young children, and to leave the world a bit better, knowing that you have at least brought a small measure of happiness, being able to make one life breathe a little easier because you have walked the face of this planet. That is a true measure of success, and that is that's how I see my parents. They have done so much for so many. And so I wish them continued mazel and that they should carry on in the same vein. Thank you.
Ari, I think you were born next.
Born?
How long was the labor?
Use that term loosely.
So my father stepped off the plane in 1972. He looked north, he looked south, he looked east, he looked west. He said, God, what am I gonna do? And God said, you will take care of your wife and 6 kids. Well, but Ari will be the most aggravating. I don't like this deal, God. Food was always an important part of the Brafman family. In fact, it's extremely a powerful element in our family. If I had not been witness to this following event, I would have never thought it would have ever come true. I decided that we were coming back from Pittsburgh. We're going to meet my mom and dad and our family in a Japanese restaurant in Middletown. Allison and I get to the restaurant. We're standing there. The owner of the restaurant comes over to us. Who are you? I'm Ari Brafman. You are Monis Brafman's son. So he walked over to another table where people were already eating. You leave! You move! Monis Brafman put my family through college. Get out! Let the family eat now! is my parents. Right and wrong is judged by everything that they have said and done. I live by the phrase, I'm gonna kill you. Ari, if you don't do this, I'm gonna kill you. It was hard to tell when you're doing right or wrong unless you got a beating. Oh, well. My parents, they loved to talk Yiddish whenever they didn't want us to understand them. But I learned certain words. Schmuck. Putz. Kinar. And my favorite, one of my favorites, Ungana Blues in a Hit. But always my favorite has always been Lazum Gain. Lazum Gain. Lazum Gain. As in, Sylvia, did you see what Ari did? Lazum Gain. It's just a face. No matter where I go or what I do, their stories always stay with me. But I don't understand why Dad's story about asparagus making his pee smell went from a joke to reality. How did that happen? How did it happen? I feel truly blessed that God chose me to be one of the children of Monis and Sylvia Brafman. I don't know if they return the favor. Without their love, patience, and guidance, my life would not be so fulfilled with happiness. A shining example of what a man and a family is and will be. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Slow on eight. On quite a different note. It is with loving pride that I speak to you tonight about my mom and dad, Monis and Sylvia Brafman, longtime members of Temple Sholom and practically lifetime members of the Sullivan County and Monticello communities. I can think of no two more committed, loving individuals than my parents. My parents are the epitome of commitment. Commitment to community, family, and most of all, one another. These two, without fail, have transformed promise into reality. Their words often spoken loudly of intent, and their actions speak even louder than their words. My parents make time when others say there is none to spare. My parents see creativity when others see only desolation. My parents see new horizons when others see only isolation. My parents see hope when others only see destitution. My parents have come through for family, friends, and community time after time. Their hardship, sorrow, joyous celebration, time after time, once again, year after year. Commitment is the essence that character is made of, the power to change the face of things. It is daily triumph of integrity over skepticism that has allowed these two to endure over the years. I'm going to tell you a little story. One day, a number of frogs were traveling through the woods up in Mongup Valley. Several of them fell in a deep pit. All the other frogs gathered around and looked into the pit.
When the other frogs saw how deep the pit was, they yelled to the frogs below that they were as good as dead. 2 of the frogs ignored the comments and tried to jump up and out of the pit with all of their might. The other frogs kept yelling to them to stop, that they were as good as dead. Finally, all but these 2 frogs took heed to what the other frogs were saying and did give up. The others, each falling down, closing his or her eyes, and died. The 2 remaining frogs continued to jump as hard as each could. Once again, the crowd of frogs above yelled even louder to them to stop the pain and just die like the other frogs had done. Both frogs tensed their hind legs and jumped once again even harder, and to their surprise, they finally made it out. When the 2 frogs got out, the other frogs looked at them and said, "Didn't you hear us?" The 2 frogs looked at one another and explained to the other frogs that they were just a bit hard of hearing. "We thought all of you were encouraging us, cheering us on to greater effort every single time. My parents are like those deaf frogs. My parents will persist even in the face of great adversity. When others say can't, they say can. My parents will offer their encouraging word to someone who's down to lift them up and help them make it through the day, even when others won't. My parents will continue to and have planted trees whose shade they will never enjoy. I love you both."
Next will be April.
April.
Hello, everyone. I've been thinking of the right words to capture the essence of my parents, Monis and Sylvia Brafman. I can't hear you. What do you say about 2 people who take everything they do to heart, whether it's contributing to the temple's needs, providing services to their community, or giving generously of their time and love to their friends and family? My mom and dad have achieved many things in their lives through their sheer determination. Their determination to survive, their determination to succeed, to make their community a better place, to keep their children and grandchildren close, and most of all, their incredible and unwavering love for each other. This evening is meant to honor 2 people who have made Temple Sholom their spiritual home. The temple is right in honoring them. Monis and Sylvia have demonstrated a great willingness to serve this temple, and by the turnout here tonight, it is obvious that their efforts have not gone unnoticed. It is with great adoration that I extend my congratulations to my mother and father, who are so deserving of this honor and so much more. I am so proud of you both and wish I could give you your heart's desire to commemorate this evening. I know that is impossible, so I offer this: the love of your friends and family here tonight, and the true gratitude of all the people whose lives you have touched.
And our last scheduled speaker will be Brafman.
Good evening, everyone. Mom and Dad, I want to thank you for a few things. And I thought long and hard about this, and thought I'd share a couple of stories that I personally went through, that you got me through. And I'll see if I can tell these stories to the crowd here. Back in the day as a teenager, you remember the mailbox thing? I can't tell that story. Wait a second. I got another one here. Wait a second. Remember the time before I got my driver's license and I called you to? I can't do that with you. Let me try this one. Abe. I was with Abe, and it was the incident in Wurtsboro. I can't do that one either. Bad. Then there was the time when I was home alone and, oh wait, this one I can do. The time when I started the fire. All kidding aside, it's very obvious by the turnout here tonight how much you've impacted people and how much you've done for this community and how fitting it is that we're in this temple here tonight. We have personal memories here. I have personal memories here. My brothers and sisters have personal memories here, all because of what you've been able to do for us. And I actually do have a couple of stories that I would like to tell. And first off, I want to thank Joe Cohen for sharing that story about Israel, because I have the sequel to that story, believe it or not. Back in 1994, I went to Israel, and I was touring Israel, and I was touring many kibbutzes, however you pronounce it. Kibbutzim. Thank you. It's great being the youngest. Anyway, and I was at a particular kibbutz, and they were telling the story of the Yom Kippur War and certain tragedies, and then they got on the subject of eggs and chickens and farming. And there was a man there that said, yeah, this crazy American had this crazy idea, and it worked. And because of him, it saved us. And, you know, just taste our eggs, and taste this, and taste that. And that was my father. And I was a million miles away from Monticello, New York, in a place that has so many things going on, and so many people, and that story was shared with me, and I thoroughly enjoyed hearing that. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Another story pertaining to my mother. About 15 years ago, I was back in Monticello, and there was a person that I met from high school that I hadn't seen in a long time, and he pulled me to the side and he said, can I talk to you for a second? I said, yeah, and he looked completely different than he did in high school. And he says, listen, I want to tell you that, you know, I used to be fat. And your mother saved my life. And not only that, you saved the life of my family, too, just by the things that she said. And you know, I thanked him for that. Another story that I'd like to share with you is that we all know the famous snowstorms that we used to have here in the 70s and the 80s. And this was typical of my father. He looked out the window one day in the middle of a snowstorm, and he saw children shoveling snow. There was about 4 or 5 of them. They didn't have any jackets or any gloves on or anything, and they were shoveling snow. And he was ranting and raving about the fact that they didn't have any jackets or gloves, or, you know, how could they be outside, and, you know, they should know better, and so on, and using some 4-letter words, and so on and so forth. And you know, he says, I don't even want to, I don't want to see them. This is ridiculous. And sure enough, about 15 minutes later, he's outside with jackets and gloves and standing next to them, shoveling snow with them. That captures the essence of my father. Another story about my mother. I was driving down to Florida with a few friends of mine, and it was about midnight, and I had called her and I said, you know, I'm going to be home with 3 of my friends from college, you know, and we, you know, we're hungry or whatever, and, you know, we walk in and there's steak and chicken and fruit and, you know, drink, you know, all there waiting for us, and my friends were just in awe, and I just had so much admiration for my mother and so much love for that. Now, what do all these stories mean? It means, of course, that they've impacted everyone in this room, and certainly all of my brothers and sisters, including myself. And more importantly, they've impacted generations to come. So when we're all long and gone and everything is done here, their kindness, generosity, and love will certainly live on. And for my mother and father, the greatest tragedy for both of you is to not know how much people love you and cherish you. This night is indicative of that, and I'm sure many nights to come. And the greatest gift you could give, and you already have, is to be the people that you are. I love you.
I have 3 presentations to make. Does anybody like to speak tonight? Testimony. Okay. Then, would you two please come up front? Thank you. Very obviously, Temple Shalom's Couple of the Year. That's from Jake Gunther. Thank you for the invitation to attend the dinner. Although I'm unable to attend the dinner, I'm pleased to be able to offer my congratulations and best wishes to Sylvia and Monis Brafman. Their accomplishments deserve recognition and much applause. I'd like to take this opportunity to enclose a New York State Assembly citation to be presented to Sylvia and Monis for all their good works. Again, my apologies for not being able to join you on this most festive occasion.
Whereas commending Sylvia and Monis Brafman upon the occasion of their being honored by Temple Sholom, scheduled for Saturday, June 15, 2002. And whereas in the course of the evolving development of this Empire State, the ingredients of shared concern and responsive endeavor combined in the symmetry of commitment to heritage, there have emerged among the distinguished citizenry of the state of New York certain individuals that warrant special recognition. Sylvia and Monis Brafman have been called upon to contribute their time and talents to countless endeavors and have always given of themselves unstintingly. And Sylvia and Monis Brafman have served the community and the citizens of New York with dedication and distinction, and now therefore be it resolved that the legislative body pause in its deliberations to pay tribute to Sylvia and Monis Brafman, while on the occasion of their recognition, Temple Sholom, be it further that a copy of this citation be transmitted to Sylvia and Monis Brafman. Jake Gunther.
All right, John Bonasek. Regretfully, since I have a prior commitment, I'll be able to attend this special event. Although I cannot be there personally, I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations and best wishes to this year's honorees, Sylvia and Monis Brafman. I commend both of them for their commitment and dedication to Temple Sholom, as well as the community in general. I've enclosed a New York State Senate resolution, which I sponsored, and which was adopted by the entire Senate in recognition of the outstanding contributions Sylvia and Monis have made to Temple Sholom and the community at large. Sylvia's going to read this. It's quite lengthy, but it sums it right up. And then the two Brafmans will give us a little talk.
Commending Sylvia and Monis Brafman on the occasion of their designation for special honor by Temple Sholom. Whereas, it says, I think I should have an attorney read this. Duty of this legislature body to recognize the contributions and achievements of the citizens of this Empire State. We praise with respect and admiration the extraordinary leadership, devotion, and commitment to a couple whose example has enriched Jewish life in the community. And whereas Sylvia and Monis Brafman will be honored on Saturday, June 15th, 2002 at a celebratory dinner to be given at Temple Sholom in Monticello, New York. And whereas Monis Brafman was born on New Year's Eve, 1934, in the Bronx as a teen.
How would you know that?
As a teenager, he moved to Monmouth Valley and sometimes would walk to Monticello High School with a girl named Sylvia Ziegler, whose parents owned a hotel down the road. They married in 1956, and whereas in 1970, Monis and Sylvia moved to Israel, went to Kibbutz Ein Korot Echud. They returned to Monticello in 1972, and whereas, with a sense of community, responsibility, Monis Brafman served as a board member at Temple Sholom for several years, and then as its president in the early 1980s. He also served as a trustee and deputy mayor of the village of Monticello, and is a member of the Rotary Club, and whereas Sylvia Brafman is a native of Solomon County, she has a master's degree in health and human services and nutritional counseling, and is also a certified New York State mediator. And whereas Sylvia enjoys writing and has published short stories, poetry, and a cookbook, she is probably the only poet ever published in the Wall Street Journal. She currently writes a newspaper column called Eat What's Right, Not What's Left, and is presently working on another cookbook with the same title as the column. And whereas Sylvia and Monis Brafman and their family have been members of Temple Sholom for over 30 years, and Sylvia also served as a board member for several years. They are truly pillars of the temple. And whereas Sylvia and Monis are the proud parents of 6 children and the doting grandparents of 16 grandchildren, and whereas it is the sense of this legislative body that when individuals of such noble aims and accomplishments are brought to our attention, they should be celebrated and recognized by all the citizens of the great state of New York. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pause in its deliberations to commend Sylvia and Monis Brafman upon the occasion of their designation for special honor by Temple Sholom, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to Sylvia Monis Brafman, 7 Lake Street, Monticello, New York, adopted by the Senate on June 4th, 2002, and it's signed by the Secretary of the Senate. This is from Senator Bonasek. I want to thank you all very much for being here. We really were overwhelmed and appreciate it very much, and all the hard work that went into this. When Ann Stevens first called to inform us about this evening, it took me a while for the honor to sink in. I tried to think of every excuse not to do this. My husband, children, and the friends that I mentioned this to thought I was ridiculous and that it was indeed a great honor. The more I thought about it, the more I had to agree with them. So now, I thought, what should I do? I really must get up and say something, I kept telling myself. To tell the truth, the more I thought about it, the less words came to me. What was wrong with me? I could sit and write for hours, but now when I really wanted to say something, nothing seemed right. Then the other morning, about 5 a.m., that's sometimes when I get my best ideas, I realized what the problem was. I was like a jar of kosher pickles. You know what I mean? When you try to get a pickle out of a jar, and you have a hard time because it's stuffed so full. That's how I felt. So full of words to say to my husband, family, and children, and friends, and all the members of Temple Sholom, that nothing would come out. And then I thought of my granddaughter Hannah's bear. She has a little bear, she calls a friend bear. And I think you know what I mean. That attached toy or blanket that gets dragged to every mall and bathroom. It gets stuffed in every suitcase, diaper bag, backpack, get space in every bed and airplane and car. Perhaps you can remember or had such a fondness for a certain object. Certainly your children or grandchildren do. Well, what's this got to do with us and this evening? It's just that when a toy or a blankie is bright and shiny and new and kind of looks like this, it's so easy to ooh and ah over it and admire it. But when they get older, this is the same exact. But when they get older, and they've been through a lot of life, and they look like this, and they're still loved, and they're still oohed and ahhed over, I think that's pretty special. And I wanted to tell you I love you all, and I thank you very much for what you've done this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Before I say anything that I'd like to say about what I feel about now, I'd just like to say my favorite is a prayer, which is the Shehecheyona. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehecheyona, v'higiona l'zman hazeh. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us in life and preserved us and has enabled us for this season. Now, thank you, my family, my friends, my extended family, Temple family, Ann Stevens, Vic Gordon, Rabbi, and all the people who made this evening possible. I kept thinking about what to write about. I kept thinking about it, and one subject kept coming back uppermost into my mind. That was my Sylvia. Sylvia is my partner, my helper, my confidant, my love of my life. She's always made me want to be a better man. The first time I wanted to take Sylvia out, you read all this, I know. I spent about 15 minutes trying to talk her into it. One of the excuses that she used, and this is now October, was that she was packing to go to Florida in January.
That's love.
So I finally convinced her, we went out, and I came to the door, and I want to tell you that she opened the door, and I thought I was standing in the land of Oz. We're now married 46 and a half wonderful years. We have 6 fantastic and 16 and a half wonderful children, grandchildren so far. And then I feel if I did anything right in my whole life, I married her. I feel like the luckiest man to face this person. Thank you all very, very much.
Group hug. We're putting a little short break. Group hug.
Kodak moment. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. Stick around, have some coffee, let's all talk.
Still raining? I have no idea. I haven't been outside since you've been here.
Yes, it's a lovely program, Harry, but I want to be where you're going to be today.
Thank you.
Parents are deserving of it.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you.
Really? Really?
So the government's money wasn't wasted then?
Hi. Remember me? Yes, sir. Great dentist. Really?
Yes, I know.
You were funny and we enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Very nice of you to say. Hello. Shalom. How are you?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Hey, this is a good spot. Have a great night.
That was beautifully done.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Me too. Short
You're
right on the razor's edge, my friend. Good.
That was fun?
It was funny.
You liked it?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Got it going.
I didn't know if it was going to be funny.
Are you still recording?
Yes, I wanted to get crowd milling, you know, the whole thing. Thank God. The milling crowd.
Brotherhood of the Yaya?
Oh God. The Brotherhood of the Yaya.
Yaya sisterhood or something?
The Yaya Brotherhood. Oh, yeah. From the film Thank you. You're absolutely right. That's the exact, absolutely correct. You get like 45 minutes.
I said, your dad holds the governments in two countries.
What?
He holds the governments in two countries.
There you go. Haunted. That worked out well.
Definitely has a sense of humor. I was telling Hannah that joke we shared together.
Thank you.
They were all wonderful. I have tears in my eyes all the time.
Thank you.
I'm like, oh, I don't
Milling, milling, milling around. Oh yeah, I want to get the milling crowd.
Did you hear what I said?
D-I-Z-Z-A.
I said, quit your day job.
D-I-Z-Z-A.
D-I-Z-Z-A. What the hell does that mean? Is it?
D-I-Z-Z-A.
Oh, P. I think you said B. P-I-Z-Z-A.
He was right on the razor's edge. He was right on the razor's edge. He was right on the edge. Yes. April and I were like, he's right on the edge. He's about to go home. He started walking around. He's walking around. Nobody told him he could walk
Nobody
around.
said. You're not allowed.
Hello.
Hi, good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So I'll put it this way. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for saying that.
I was
You
just
good?
teasing them.
You enjoyed it.
I told him, quit your day job. You know where they say, don't quit your day job? I said, quit your day job. I'm like, you.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. You could be a
You see, the attorney, the abstract is all, like I said, is a
It's a cover.
It's a cover.
It's a cover.
You wait. You wait.
You wait. You see.
Wait until I have to do you.
Thank God. I can't wait. I want to piss my pants.
Well, that vein should be able to stand out. If you recall what I did when he was, remember, what was it that?
Oh, the anal explosive. I have it on tape somewhere. Or Dad
You
has
laughed
it.
pretty good.
Oh yeah, I liked it. Coffee talk. See you later. Good night. Just getting the crowd milling. I love milling crowds. No. Well, this way, instead of having to change the battery if it dies.
You can buy a 9-hour battery.
I can't.
You can't remember to charge.
No, my thing is I charge them, and if it says if you overcharge them, you leave me because I can't remember to take them out exactly 2 hours.
You
Drives me
don't have-
crazy.
No, you don't have to.
Wait till they're
No,
drained.
you know what? Well, no, only the first
Oh, that drives me nuts.
No,
I screw it up every time. Yes, sir.
Don't use this charger. You can go to Best Buy or they have it. It's a universal charger.
All right.
It's made for their batteries. I got it because I got.
And it works better?
It works. Well, you can use it not only plug it into the wall, but you can also use it in the car. So
got, what I do is I got the 1 hour battery, or the 2 hour battery that comes with it, like a 4 hour battery.
Yes, sir.
And they last forever. But you can get a 9 hour battery.
Huh. All right.
And so you can throw it in there.
Well, this way, we had the extension. I asked that for the extension cord. It worked out well. It was all power. It worked out good. Thank God. That's all.
You always end up with the same problem.
I know. I have batteries with me. I just didn't want to have to worry about switching them.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have stuck. You know, that would have sucked in midstream. This way, it's on. You don't have to worry. However, when I have that problem, you're right. I'm gonna get it.
I got when I bought the camera, I got the adapter with this. Because they don't give you 2 batteries anymore. They only give you 1.
We'll work on it.
And the newer version, actually, when the battery, you don't even buy this piece. It plugs right into the camera.
Oh, nice. I like that even better. I do. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll get some of the social security. Like my bill, most of it.
A lot of signatures.
Oh yeah,
No meaning behind
that's what you did great. That was a great. I love it. I love it. That happens to be true. That's what makes it even better.
Yes, it was swell.
I think it's Django.
Django Fett. Allison needs coffee as quickly as possible.
It's cooking.
Here we are at the breakfast.
We're roasting the beans.
All right.
We're going to Colombia.
But we're not bringing back coffee.
Harry, look over here.
I started doing that at work. I'm like,
otherwise
Good job, Good job, Harry. Good job.
already like that anyway.
Hi, yeah.
I have to do my hair, so, you know, don't think that's what I really look like.
Oh, Lord. Women kill me.
I just had to say it.
pretty you look.
Hey, Joshua, look over here for a second.
Go over here now.
Good work, Joshua.
Is that a bowl I can put? Oh. No, Molly.
Harry, can I make something for you?
Somebody might get my
Molly, look over here. Thanks, Molly.
Yeah, Teletubbies, it's a boat.
Dude.
So, is Grandma outside?
Hey.
Yeah, Jordan's back.
Oh, Molly looks so beautiful.
Is he coming
Are
on
you
the
going
boat?
to Grandma's today? To Nana's?
If he has his bathing suit in here. Hi.
Hi there. Thanks for watching. What's that, Mom? Yeah, I'll bet it does.